Hey guys, welcome to NRL Fantasy Round 8 Buy Hold Sell with my friend Ryan.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Do you want me to kick off or do you want to kick off with this one?
Yeah. Yours.
Okay. Hugo Savala. Probably a good thing I'm talking about this because I'm definitely bringing him in this week myself. I'll be trading out Tom Gilbert. He is a great cash down option. All Roosters players have a beautiful buy schedule if they're not playing Origin. And I don't think that he will be losing his spot anytime soon. He's been doing really well with game management, and he has a very low break even, very low score. If it was the start of the year and this was an option going into this week, he would be the most owned player. He would be like 60, 70% owned. So you cannot go wrong with buying him, especially with the amount of good buys there are this week. And that's why I wanted to have him as the first buy.
Yeah. I guess everything I'd say is if you already have a few too many Roosters players, they do their buy in round 10. So that is something to keep in mind. But definitely, it's just a great cash out option this week. Next one is Dylan Lucas, who, well, there's a bit of risk there with the hamstring. Well, he's been out for quite a while. It's been 6 weeks. So, you have to kind of just hope that's all clear. And, he was incredible the first 2 weeks of the season. We west side with him. So great buy coverage. Obviously, he has edge center duel, so it's pretty safe. Well, safe pick barring the injury. I'm hoping for a lot of kind of good scoring for him.
Yeah, I think worth doubling down extra on that point that he is about 3% owned, you said, right?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, that is a big point of difference. This is my guy. By the way, can you see, is the screen recording all good? Can you see everything fine?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
fine.
cool. Toby Couchman, he's kind of slipped under the radar for me a little bit. I've had him as a buy every week for the last few weeks, and I've just not pulled the trigger. I guess I've seen value elsewhere, and it's one of those ones that it just keeps going every week, and you're like, should have had him, should have got him. I was watching him play last week, and it was painful. His PPM was going absolutely crazy, and his PPM will continue to go absolutely crazy. If this man had the name of Payne Haas instead and wore a Broncos jersey, I think he'd be talked about a lot more, if you know what I'm trying to say. Basically, if you can get this man in, I think he's a very good option, a very safe option. I think he might play Origin. What do you think?
I think that some sort of injury to get him in, to either Payne Haas or May for there to be space. But yeah, I mean, doesn't play around 12 now anyway, so it could be a bit hard pressed to get him in and also find enough space in your mid spots to fill the full 13. But it looks like it could be a 60 average player for the year, which is pretty credible.
That's the thing, I guess. Is it worth that risk? Which is something I need to figure out this week because that price just keeps going up and up. Anyways, I'll do Mr. Sharpe. Take it off.
Yeah, Mr. Sharpe. Obviously, there's actually not many great options in the wing fullback spot now. Obviously, there'll be one more covered in the next slide, but just playing great football at the moment, even in a very struggling Knights team. And playing in the 5'8" spot, getting his hands on the ball a ton. So pretty good floor with the tackles as well. Averaging about 25 a game in tackles. So in a spot where, it's hard to find any sort of players scoring well. Plays through to 18, obviously same as Lucas. And I just think he's one of the best options at the moment in that spot.
Yeah, I think having that half duel with wing fullback is very, very powerful over this Origin period.
For sure.
And I was tossing up between him and Teddy last week, and at the moment it looks like I made the wrong decision with going with Teddy because he's just consistently performing for everybody. This was one of the guys I did actually pick up last week myself, Mr. Kiraz. Also, slight concerns of him playing Origin, I guess, depending on how Lomax and Toto come back from injury. But he's got that consistency for you. His base is very high. He's been looking to offload a lot this year, and he's an absolute meter eater. I think with that offload combination and just that drive, as long as he doesn't get injured, which he does have a history of doing, he'll be great coverage over the Origin period. And if you don't think he'll make Origin, I think, like I do, I think get him in your side. Is there anything you want to add
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah, he's though someone that I'm scared about not owning, because if he doesn't make Origin, then he's absolute just great pick for the bye period. So yeah, I mean, if he doesn't make the Origin team, I might look to try and get him in round 12. But yeah, great pick right now as well.
Yeah. Historically, I feel like he does have some games where he's a bit lower and then some games where he is through the roof. Sort of a bit like
Yeah.
Ruben Garrick, I suppose, but I feel like he's one of the safer actual center wing fullback options at the moment, other than Herbie, but Herbie is very expensive.
Mm. Yeah, it's similar sort of thing with Preston, where just that incredible buy schedule. So, you are paying a premium or, well, a premium type player. Probably still a few points undervalued. But someone that's going to be probably the best edge option over the buy period, especially if Fifita makes Origin. I don't see anyone else really coming even close to him. So great buy last week. Obviously, you've owned him for the whole year.
Yeah.
It's probably the last week to really get on him for a little bit of value. But yeah, it's just a great pick, really.
Yeah, I think also Preston is one of those guys that just has a very good base. He'll have games where it feels like he hardly touches the ball, or it doesn't go to him very often, and the opportunities he gets, he does a lot with them, and he gets those tackles and those run meters in when he can. So very reliable base. Fifita is someone I was looking to buy last week, but pulled out due to the injury last minute on Thursday. He doesn't have the starting spot, but I think both of us sort of are expecting him to line up in that starting position come game day, or at least play 60 to 70 minutes.
Yeah.
He has a history of not getting along with Origin selection, Origin coaches, and Billy Slater, yeah. And with the price drop he's had, it's just, it's the cheapest he's going to get. If he keeps the minutes consistent, he'll score crazy points. We touched on this last week. I guess not much has changed, really. The only difference is he's on the bench now.
Yeah, I guess like a little bit of risk now as well with the hamstring concern. Still great value.
Yeah.
And I guess Pearce-Paul was kind of a bit similar to Preston in a way, but 100k less with a bit more risk. Great buy schedule, same as before with Lucas and Sharpe. But actually really well. Got 70 points or so last week. Getting tons of offloads, good tackle numbers, low missed tackles, and he's just someone that is, he's owned for by I think 1.2% of plays at the moment, and probably should be a lot more considering the form that he's in and his buy schedule coming up. So if you do need another reg and you can't quite afford someone like Preston, and you don't want the Fifita's buy schedule, then I think he's probably your next best option.
I think it's also worth considering, just in case people don't know, is that he is English, so he can't be selected for Origin.
That is,
which makes him a very safe option. Moving over to some holds, I'll touch on Tedesco because he's who I bought last week. I think it'd be silly to move on someone after having one off week. He should bounce back. He only becomes a sell if he gets that Origin selection. I think all Roosters will become a sell if they get selected and they're wearing the Roosters jersey over that period, but hopefully he doesn't, and looking for greater things from him this week.
Yeah, and I guess with Katoga and Hubner, they're both in a similar sort of boat where, well, they both missed this week. So Hubner with the HIA, so who obviously was scoring well in the game, but came off early. But with both of them, you kind of should see the next week, if Hubner is still starting lock, then obviously great hold. If Katonga is still starting edge, then he's still going to score pretty well. That 17 was ultimately an outlier. So I don't see why you'd want to rush to sell one of these guys who still has quite a lot of cash to make, really. And Katonga also plays round 12 at this stage, depending on selection. So, yeah, pretty easy holds.
Yeah, the loop's nice to have as well. And
Sure.
Of these two, definitely Hubner, I think, is the more reliable scorer. That performance from Katoga last week was concerning, but we'll see. Onto some sells. Now, this man hanging from the ceiling is my man, who I think I will be selling this week. I just think there's so many good options that it's worth the move. I don't think Sandon Smith is going to be getting that many more points past his current performance. Yeah, I think if you have nothing better to move him on to, stick with him. But there's too many options for me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I will be holding him for this week and probably ideally for the next 2 weeks, really, until they're bye. Just because his break even is still pretty manageable. But I guess also the thing is, like, there's so many good buys this week and so many ways to get yourself set up really well for the Origin period that his 430 odd K, if you can use that to get someone really good in, that is definitely a fine sell, really.
I also think a lot of people probably have Roosters players. At least you and I do. I think we both have 5. I think it's time I start rolling them out, particularly as Savala is a must-have in my eyes.
Sure. And then just quickly touch on Walsh, Campbell, and Howard, both out for quite a long time. With round 12 looming as well, I think it's just a good option to just move those into people that are playing round 12, get your sword set up a bit better. Obviously, Walsh and Howard don't hold a lot of cash, so there's not a lot you can really do with them in a sense, but it's kind of not. I think it's the point in the year that you want to be holding into players who aren't playing.
Yeah.
So,
and then Mr. Gilbert, who I still have, who I shouldn't have. It's time for him to go. He's still starting second row, doesn't perform there. Yeah, better options. I think particularly with Walsh and Campbell, they'll be interesting to look into when they come back from injury post the Origin period. There'll be a lot of value and cash gen on those 2 players.
yeah. I mean, if you don't need to trade this week, you could hold for one and try and find out a bit more about their injury. But obviously with someone like Campbell, just sitting on 780K is quite a lot. So
yeah, I think as trades become less important this year, as we don't have to field as many during those Origin periods, I think if you have an injury, it's the safer call to phase them out rather than sit on cash like that.
yeah, for sure.
And that brings us to the end of this round 8. We had round 7 on everything, I think. Those are round 8 holds and round 8 sells. If you guys have any buy hold sells that you're considering, chuck it in the comments and we will get back to you.
That's fast.